Hi, my name is Amy. I was born in a pew, not literally, but my dad's a preacher, so it kind of feels like I was. I loved almost every part about being a PK. Seeing my dad speak every Sunday, having backdoor access to almost every part of our church, being loved and supported by so many people who knew exactly who I was. The part I didn't like, having to keep up that smiling face when life was hard and no one could know. As a teenager, I got tired of hiding behind that smile, and so I rebelled. I hid the truth of who I was and how I felt, my anger and resentment, my drinking and partying behind good grades, waiting tables, singing in show choir, and perfect youth group and church attendance. I was an expert box checker, but the weight of the secrets and the guilt and the shame that I carried was driving me away from the only one that could help me. I met my sweet husband, Brian, at Oklahoma Christian, and our fairy tale wedding happened 3 short weeks after graduation. He was just as imperfect as me, hiding behind his own sins and struggles that he'd had long before we met. But I blame myself for his pain, believing in some twisted way that if I could act better, do more, say the right thing, or cook the right meal, or look a certain way, that Brian wouldn't struggle anymore. And each time that inevitably failed, I would retreat back into my safe place, hiding behind years of guilt and shame and resentment and bitterness. We started trying for a baby after we'd been married for a few years, and what should have been an easy process took years, filled with fertility treatments and procedures, sonograms, hormone pills. And of course, I believe that this too was my fault. Another failure, another example of how I can't ever seem to get it right. I spent nights hiding in my bathroom, sobbing on the floor, or crying in the shower so Brian couldn't hear me. I didn't want anyone to think that I was as crazy and unraveling as I felt. Hormone medication, a shattered heart, drove me to a breaking point that I had never experienced. I felt like I had lost my mind. In 2008, I miscarried our first baby. I'd lost the one thing that I felt was tethering me to this earth and to sanity and to life. And in a moment that could have broken my marriage, broken my faith, and broken me, God strengthened me. He healed my marriage, my heart, and my soul with the loss of our baby. Nehemiah 8:10 became a lifeline to me. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And in 2010, God blessed me with Samuel, our miracle baby. He's also given us 4 other children, Ella Mae and Will, here with us, and 2 babies in heaven. After having Sam, I quit my job to stay home with him, but I continued to spend our money without restraint. I hid my own insecurities in myself and my marriage and all my other relationships behind beautiful clothes, shoes, and jewelry, my home and how it was decorated, even how I dressed my new sweet baby. Before I knew it, I had multiple credit cards loaded with debt, and I had no feasible way of paying it off before I was found out. When we moved to Arkansas and were trying to buy a new house, my secret came out. Brian responded with love and forgiveness and accountability, a kindness that I will never repay. Can never repay. At the end of 2013, we started going to Celebrate Recovery. I'd hit rock bottom and had nowhere else to look except up to God. The carefully crafted life I had worked for years to create was crashing down around me. I entered my first step study and began working the steps. I realized that I struggled with anxiety. I was baptized at 13, and I spent my young and adult life checking all the boxes, hiding sinful thoughts and behaviors, believing somehow I could earn God's divine favor and win the approval of others. As a result of turning to God for true healing, my marriage is better than it ever has been. I try not to hide behind my shortcomings and insecurities anymore, but I peacefully rest in God, trusting that He will make everything right in my life if I surrender to His will. I still fight discouragement and fear as I step into places where God's story and me can be heard. but I hold tightly to the promise that God hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but one of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. I refuse to stay bound in the chains of my pride, insecurity, codependency, and fear and worry, guilt and shame. I'm throwing them off, and I want to run. Not looking behind at the past or ahead at the future, or even to the side comparing my race to others. I won't grow weary or lose heart, and I'll only look to Jesus because I trust Him to finish the work that He started in me. Thanks for letting me share.